Hi everybody, my name's Robert Manduca, and I'm going to be talking about work that my teammates and I did with the City of Memphis around vacant and distressed housing. This is a big issue in Memphis. The city has a lot of empty houses and a lot of houses with absentee owners who don't take good care of them. But it's also an issue that's received a lot of attention from the city, and there's currently a task force around distressed housing that meets every month with about 15 representatives from various city departments as well as local nonprofit organizations. So the first question with distressed properties is just figuring out where they are, and that's actually pretty hard because there's no central database of property conditions for the city. So typically the way you figure out the condition of a property is to drive out to it and look at it. The city actually did that for every single property in the entire city in 2008, but it took more than a year and it cost a lot of money, so they're not going to do it again going forward. What our team did was to try to replicate the results of that 2008 survey using administrative data sets that are updated frequently. So this is data from the tax assessor, from local utility companies, et cetera. And we trained a classifier on the 2008 data from those companies and then applied it to current data to figure out the likelihood of properties being distressed right now. So that's what you can see in this map. The green areas, or the dark areas, I guess, are places that have a low risk of being distressed, and these conform quite well to the affluent parts of the city, according to our partners. And then the yellow and red areas are places that have a higher risk of being distressed, and they tend to fall in less wealthy areas. What's interesting is that what's useful for our partners, I should say, is that while the green areas are pretty solid, you can see there's a lot of variation in the less wealthy parts of the city. And so in a given block, the average might be quite distressed, but there are properties that are perfectly fine and have very low risk. And they can use that information to better target their investment strategies. Then the second question is, so once you've identified houses that are likely to be distressed, what do you do about them? Luckily, the City of Memphis has a very active community development corporation group, or they have a lot of CDCs, and these organizations acquire distressed properties, rehabilitate them, and then sell them to local residents who can benefit from the housing and will also take care of the house. The issue is that most of those projects lose money. It generally costs about $20,000 more to rehabilitate a house than you can sell it for. So what we did was to try to quantify the impact of a rehabilitated house on the neighboring environment, and specifically on the property tax revenues that come from the neighborhood. So the idea is that the CDC can go to the city and say, if you give us $20,000 now, your tax revenues are going to go up by several thousand dollars over the coming years. And we estimated that a typical rehabilitation will increase the property value of the neighborhood by about $150,000, which translates to about $2,000 a year in increased tax revenues. Our partners were excited to hear that. And in addition to evaluating several of the efforts that they have done, we also created this app where they can look at hypothetical projects and try to estimate what the impact on property tax revenues will be from doing a given project. So they're very excited to play with this app, and you can play with it too at our table after the talks. So thank you so much.